involved with the questions, and there's so much out there that, we need to, suppose, talk about. And, I just trust spirit, so what spirit wants us to talk about, we will talk about today, so
True.
That's what excites me.
All right. For a lot of listeners to my podcast, they are still averse to the term spirit. All right. They still think spirit is something that isn't proven, because scientifically, how can you actually prove it, right? In the scientific research terms. So how would you explain it in your words?
Listen, it's a conversation I have with a lot of people. We can't see it. We can't really touch it.
Correct.
We can't feel it. We can't smell it. So we're talking about something that really, in what we've always been told, doesn't exist.
Correct.
But if I look in my life, and I just take a step back in my life, and I go, of all those synchronicities that have happened, and all those, different movements that it's done throughout, there's something else at play. There really is something else at play, and that's where I go back into that spirit, and spirit talks to me through songs. It talks to me through numbers. It talks to me through souls coming on my path, that's spirit, and I open my mind up to that fact of that I'm in a constant dialogue, or I'm in a constant motion with something else, which is what we can call the other side, spirit, or that divine or source. But there's something much bigger at play than just me and you talking right now. We again, we found each other on this path, and that's again spirit. We think we're in control of everything, my friend, and we're in control of nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's all pre-planned. It's all divinely taking place in this moment right now, and that's my belief. And it's never done me anything wrong apart from giving me a happy smile on my face, and I'm thankful for every day that I get to be with them.
Yeah. While you were saying that, I'll be honest with you, I got a couple goosebumps when you said it's spirit that is connecting us, because I love hearing these things from people. Reason being, I don't get to hear this often in my own circle, right?
Okay.
Although India, as you might be knowing, it's a very spiritual country in that aspect.
Absolutely.
But
I'm so drawn to the Indian lineage as well. Everywhere you look in my temple, there's Hanuman. Me and Hanuman are like best buddies. And people go
awesome.
even outside in my garden. I've got two beautiful Hanuman statues. But I feel that Hanuman just walks with me. Hanuman's protecting me at all times. And I trust in that. And I trust in the higher power, and I think that's what we've got to do, And if people don't, I totally respect that too. That's everybody's own individual choice, right?
Absolutely. I think that's their path. But talking about paths, how did you find yours? I don't believe you were knowing about these gifts that you have. We'll get more into it.
No, look, and I'm such a straight shooter. People laugh at me like that. For me, I wasn't a 6-year-old child, and all of a sudden this divine light came down and said, you're going to be this, or you're going to go and do this with our work. It was definitely not like that. I've had a long career on the corporate side of the world. I've been everything from an accountant to selling mobile telephones, to coming over here and running international recruitment companies, to owning 3 businesses I have currently. But always has been this nagging pull of going, hey, we're over here and you've got some work to do for us, And I, for many years, pushed that to one side. And how the mediumship came about, and then that's obviously gone into the healing side of things, is I was working at a recruitment company, and I got a call one day from this candidate I was about to place. And she said, you're not going to believe it because you're a guy, but I've been to see a medium and your granddad's come through. And my granddad was my best friend. It was just everything to me. And he actually died in my arms. And the story goes was when he died, he was in his room by himself, and the nurses actually went back into his room and put his false teeth back in. And I went in to say my goodbyes to him, and I was like, God, what's going on here, Granddad? Because he was still convulsing. He actually pushed his teeth out. So I picked them out of his mouth and I put them in my pocket. So this is where it gets really spooky. So I made the call to the. I made the call to this medium, and I had to wait 2 months to go and see her. And I walked in, and she said to me, the first word she said to me was, "Oh, I've been waiting for you." And instantly, I was like, "Yeah. I bet you say that to everybody. You know, it's the big gypsy, crystal ball. You know, I'm going on a long holiday, etc." And the first thing she said to me, she said, "I've just got your granddad who's just appeared, and he just wants to say one thing before we begin." And he said, "I didn't look very good with my teeth, did I?" And I was like, "What?" You know, and that was, I know, and I was just like, mate, I could have cried for days. You know, if there was ever a confirmation, if we go back earlier to what you just said, is spirit around us? Well, I think we just got the answer, you know. And I was like, no. And she said to me, she said, "You're not going to believe me, but you're going to go and do this work." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it. I'm just plodding along in my big career."
You were skeptic back then. You were quite
absolutely, and still very much so, because what there is now, there's a lot of spiritual fluff. There really is.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And it's the buzzword. It's the cool word. You know. It's, you know, I'm the shaman, so I'll have a long beard and blah blah blah. You know. And
you do have longer hair though. After you started this journey,
yeah, well,
I've seen you all over.
That is something that has progressed over time, but it's a thing that has to be done so sacredly, you know, and so respectfully, you know, because you're dealing with people and you're trying to change and alter people, you know, and there's a responsibility that goes with that, you know. So so that was kind of my journey and the walk, if we like to say, on the path of spirituality, you know. And slowly but surely, she was right, Lynn. You know, I started to, you know, read friends and family. And, you know, before then I was getting people coming to see me. And I was just beginning to trust that spirit was guiding me down this beautiful direction, you know. And over the last couple of years, it's even morphed into much bigger things with the healing side, you know, and working directly with spirit, with people in regards to illnesses, whether it's mental illness, physical illness, you know, struggling to see what spirituality means, etc., etc. I've been doing a lot of work with that, which coincided with the mediumship work I had to learn back in the day, you know.
You had to learn, as in you had a coach?
No, I just did it all myself. I did it all with spirit, you know, and I had to keep on stepping out into that uncomfortable zone, which I did. And I've learned many lessons, and I've gone through a lot of hardships with it. Not trusted it. I've gone, this is crazy. What am I doing? Who am I talking to? This is, you know, but as you walk into any new thing and any new path, you know, you become more trusting, you become more committed, you start to believe, you know. And now spirit's my life, you know. I still have my businesses, you know, I'm still very successful in what we do on that side, but the pull for me now is very, very much over to being of service. You know,
I think James, that's really important, because a lot of people get that wrong, I believe. They say if you are spiritual, you cannot be practical, because you cannot have businesses, you can't do any other things apart from being a healer or a guru, you know. I think that's the fluff that you were trying to remove. And I've read about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were against this hocus pocus. You want to eliminate the hocus pocus.
I just don't like it. At the end of the day, we are living our experience in this mode. You know, we are what we would call human beings. You know, to me, we're just souls, but we're living in this human existence right now. You know, and we get to experience business, we get to experience relationships, we get to experience fun, we get to experience sadness, we get to experience the full modality of what we are. You know, so of course I still have my businesses. Of course I'm still learning. Of course I'm still, you know, experiencing what I've also come down to experience. And people think and look at me and think, you know what, do you go through hardship? I go, yeah, probably more so than you do, because then I've got to go and talk about it and help people with it. So it's actually, you know, the flow of life. You know, we're on this little canoe and we're getting pulled down this river. And sometimes it's some rapids, and sometimes it's just so beautiful and so clean and so clear. But there's two walks going on right now, you know?
Canoe of life. Interesting.
Yeah, the flow of life. And, I call it's just one big dance, one big dance, and we go from one to the next, and we've got to just learn not to become attached to anything, so we can keep on moving through it,
James, have you read or do you know anything about Tantra?
I've not. I basic, but I've not gone into too much about it, to be honest.
All right. So here's a little bit, and I'll tell you why I brought that up. Because you said it's a dance, right? So according to Tantra philosophy, it's a part of spirituality. It's a way of spirituality, actually. Do you know what Aghora means?
No.
All right. So have you seen people who are almost naked? They're in India, some part of northern India. In Banaras. You wanted to go to Banaras, right? Varanasi.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
So the Aghoras over there, they roam naked. They are known sometimes for cannibalism as well.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yeah, right. I've heard of these people. Yeah.
So they are into Tantra. All right. But let me tell you, all that side, that's a myth. That's not the reality, but more on that later. So in Tantra, it is said that, do you know about chakras? Our bodies has chakras.
Yes, absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's a chakra in the middle of your forehead. That's a lot spoken about. It's your third eye, your pineal gland, whatever name you want to give it. And there's a chakra in your groin region, in your genitals, right? So according to Tantra and according to a lot of philosophies, the chakra in your genitals, which is the Shakti, right? It's known as Shakti. Shakti meaning power in Hindi.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Shiva in your third eye. So basically the entire journey about Kundalini being the energy, is to take it from the Shakti and to rise it up through all your chakras to your third eye. And it's all about getting into a singular dance.
Yeah, right.
And the dance of life. Yes.
Yeah.
And it is called Ardha Nari Shiva. Ardha meaning half, Nari meaning female, Shiva meaning male. Right. So the entire purpose of a complete human is to embrace both his feminine and his masculine side and dance along with it.
Yeah, I love that. And it's very big for me right now as well in talking about that side. We are feminine, we are masculine, and there's so much going on of the male must get the beast out, and the female, and which I just do not buy into. I really don't. I feel like saying we need to be getting more of the feminine out. We need to be showing more of the love and the caring and the nurturing out. I think there's enough of the bestiality that's gone out. And I think with the females, you've got females now going into their masculine because they want to be heard.
Exactly.
So they're actually going away. They're actually now going away from the feminine energy because they have to use the masculine one to rise up, which is not good.
Yes.
We get out of balance.
Yeah, the males are becoming more and more masculine. The females as well are doing the same, trying to get.
They have to be heard, to be seen. Exactly. And that's the problem I think with the male society, and I think it's where we see a lot of I suppose suicides and mental depression within the males because they are seen to be. We are seeing that we have to be this certain way. And it's not cool sometimes to be showing, a guy wearing a pink T-shirt, for example. You can't do that because you're already, stereotyped into that particular, person, which is so wrong, so wrong, so sad.
But let's say someone is not yet acquainted with the spirit side, right, a male or a female. What would you recommend for him or her to be the first step to actually embrace the other side? To heal himself.
I keep everything simple, and the first thing I would say is be nice to yourself and be nice to the people in front of you, and that's all you need to do. Spirit are always there. Spirit are always going to work through you. But the first step to understanding spirituality and to walk in your step is just to be kind. Be kind, be love, to come back into our authentic state. We are love. We came from many moons far away from here, and we come in love. We've come down here to just experience all the emotions. So the first step on that path of connecting with spirit, if you like, but they're also always with you. They've never left you. But to feel that is be nice, be kind, be loving. That's what we have to do. We have to get back to our authentic state. And that's the first step that anybody has to take when you want to walk on this path, It starts with being nice and being kind to yourself.
Exactly.
Because you can't be kind and you can't be nice and you can't be loved if you're not doing any of those things to you. You have to build your foundation. It's like anything else, and it takes work and it takes discipline, and you've got to be committed, you know? You've got to be committed. And it's I say to people, it's the hardest work. Look, it's hard work. And at times you think, my God, like, really, do I have to go through this again? Why, you know? But it's also the most fulfilling work, because it releases and it heals us, and it just puts that peace within inside us. And that's what we all crave, you know?
And when you said about healing, very interesting thing popped up in my mind, because since you're a healer, and I have been myself, but doing Reiki. You know what Reiki is?
Yeah, beautiful, yeah.
So there's one thing I've faced often, which is when I've done a couple of healings myself, I have felt that my energy is drained after the process. Does that happen to you as well? How do you deal with it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I go on a big buzz because I'm in the energy, you know, and I'm flowing, and everything is beautiful. And then I come out, and it takes me a while to come down. Absolutely. And you've got to always, suppose it's like charging the battery up on your car. As you're driving, it's always charging. You know, for me, I go into nature. For me, I just need to see and look at a bird, or I need to just see and just be in Mother Earth. And that's my charge up, you know, and every day I try to make sure that's part of my practice. So in the morning, I will get up and go for a lovely walk along the ocean or the river from where I live. I'm very blessed to live in a beautiful place. And I just look out, and it just amazes me that it's just, I get excited. Even now, like I saw it this morning, and the waves were so beautiful and clear. You know, people are surfing and the birds are flying, and every now and again I'll see a dolphin, and I'm like a kid. It's like, oh my God, I've just seen another dolphin, you know, and that's the joy of it all. But that's also my charge up. So that's exactly what you just said there, is that I can't go and give to somebody tonight who comes and sees me tonight if I'm empty myself.
Exactly.
You know, so I've always got to nurture myself, nourish myself, and then be able to give, you know. And there's times where it's like, I need a week off, you know, I need to just do something for me. And you've got to put your boundary up on that, because back in the day when last year for me, you talk about lessons was such a big one on boundaries, you know, because I'm such a softie. I want to always help anybody. So I never say no to anybody. But also I'm going like this, and you can't function. You know, you cannot function because you're just absolutely draining everything out. And spirit don't want that either, right? So sometimes I go, I'm having a week off, and I'll just come back in a week, you know, and we just go from there.
That's a wonderful thing. I think we've been living in concrete jungles for so long now that we need to reconnect with nature a lot.
Yeah,
but James, in the beginning, when you actually found out about your clairvoyance, and what's the other one?
Clairaudience.
Yeah, I forgot what the name of that thing was. You hear
clairvoyance,
clairaudience,
yeah, clairvoyance,
clairsentience.
Clairsentience, yeah.
All right, so that's basically, you can hear spirits, you can feel them, and you can what? You can talk to them.
And we can talk to them, you know. So when I'm connected in, and I come in and I set my temple up, and the soul who's come to see me is sat in front of me, it's like a telephone line, you know. We're in, you know, and they'll come through. And for me, it's very much, especially on the old mediumship, because it's kind of, like I say, it's kind of moved into more of the healing now, where we come in and we have a chat, but that chat is actually communicated through spirit. In the true sense of the word, if you want to, you know, say the psychic word, which I'm not a big fan of, but the psychic word is that, or the mediumship word, they would come, spirit would come through and give me confirmations, because I never liked it to be, you know, it had to be straight facts. I didn't want anything what was kind of, you could misinterpret it or you could guess. I didn't want any of that. So spirit come through very factual, you know, and then boom, you know, then it's the dialogue. And you know, I used to say to people, it's not guess what the medium has to say next. It's like we chat, you know, we have a conversation. You are using, spirit is with us right now. They've just confirmed that they're in this room with us right now. Let's talk, because ultimately we're not interested in, am I going to get a baby in 2 months' time, and am I going to have a white picket fence with 2 dogs? That's what put me off, because I'm like, there's more to life than that. Spirit when people go and need to see an healer or a medium or whatever we want to call them, it's because we've come off the railway tracks a little bit, and we need a little bit more assistance to get back on the track so we can keep on with our journey. And it has to be a little bit deeper than that, superficial, materialistic desires that society tells us what we should have and should be.
Correct. But on the other hand, I do have a concern with that. I think we do need to be slightly materialistic to survive or to enjoy the world. As I said, bring it back to the business aspect.
Listen, I suppose we'll have to disagree to agree on that. I think, for me, I'm very much a believer of, if I believe in the universe in its full state, I have enough. What is enough? What is enough? And look, I've had lots and I've had little, and I can tell you that having lots gives me choices. It really does. But having little made me happier, because I'm not then also trying to achieve and, have a standard of living and keep that standard of living up when it's over here. Yeah. So it's finding that balance. And, the universe will always give you enough if you trust.
Correct.
If you trust and put it to the universe, it will always give you enough, whether that's $1 million because that's what they want you to experience right now, or it's $100, but it'd be enough until it gets you to your next paycheck. You will always have enough.
I think that's where
all money does is give us a choice.
Correct. I think that's where most of people struggle, because they think the first step is having money, then we can trust. But I think the first step is to surrender. First step is to trust.
Absolutely, it has to be. It has to be. We're already trying to get to an end game when there's not an end game there. And you actually just keep on striving and striving and striving. And you've missed out on life.
Yes.
You've missed out on that. You've missed out on that bird that's just flown in front of you and said, "Hi, I wanted to say hi to you today." Because all you're focused on is going, "Oh, have I got another payment in my bank account?"
Exactly.
I know millionaires who come and see me, and they would swap everything out in the world, right? Everything, if they could be happy.
Really?
Because they've been so conditioned to go chase that they've just gone so blindly. They've missed their sons or daughters growing up. They've missed spending time with their families. They've missed spending time and not doing things they wanted to do with themselves. So it has to be balanced.
It's heartbreaking to hear that, man.
Yeah. Because look, I know when I was growing up, and I know my family in England, it was all money based. We came from a working class town. And it was like, you've got to be this, and if you've got a BMW, say, you've made it, and if you've got, $50,000 in the bank account, oh my God, you're the superstar.
Exactly.
But to achieve that, what's it going to do to me?
Yeah. You have to sacrifice something to gain something else.
Absolutely. But we should never sacrifice what we're here to do if we trust in spirit and we trust the universe. That's where I look at it now. And you know what? I'm 42. It's taken me 42 years old to understand that too. You
don't look a year older than 30, man.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, you keep talking to me, I'll be sending you a big birthday card, with a lot of money in it.
All right. Yeah. So one thing I remembered about your gift. So you say you have a gift, correct? Great. Now, 2 things. One, when you first found out about it recently, when you were working on it yourself, you were practicing it, were you ever afraid of your own gift? What the hell am I doing right now? Because this is completely opposite to your conditioning.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you a story about I suppose how the healing came about. I did a journey with Ayahuasca, the plant medicine from the Amazon.
In Peru?
And took me... Yeah, I didn't do it in Peru, actually. I've done it in Costa Rica a few times, and I've done it actually in Perth, where I live. And this actual journey, I was in Perth, and I took this sacred medicine, which is just the most amazing thing ever. And it sent me on this beautiful journey. And I was lying there, and my reality when you're in the medicine is very similar to me talking to you. You know, it's just everything has gone, and I'm having this conversation with source, spirit, whatever we want to call it. And they said to me, we're going to give you an operation. And I'm like, okay, you know, what kind? And they showed me my heart. So they showed me the heart that was in here was kind of black, and they got this new heart that they wanted to put inside here. So I'm going, okay. And they said, and while we're doing this, we're going to take you away and show you a few other things, but this is what we're going to do today. So they did this. They performed this spiritual operation, and it does exist. If you want to Google that in ayahuasca, you know, you see pinters, you know.
Yeah, there's ego death. I know about it.
Yeah, and you get operations. So they did this operation, and they came back to me, and they said to me, "You've been looking and searching all your life for something that was always missing," which was always true. You know, I never enjoyed the mediumship. I always felt it just scratched the surface. And it was like lotto numbers type of messages. And I didn't like it. As I just said earlier, it needed to be factual. We needed to get into life.
Correct.
And they said, and they showed me my hands, and they went like that. And they went, this is what's been missing. And they said, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere to search anything. It will come to you. But it made sense, because I've been on this long road of trusting, of doing everything that I got pulled into. I never shied away from it. And I was like, that makes sense. But I had no idea what they were for. Absolutely no idea. So I came round from the journey. I continued everyday life. I was still showing up. I was still doing my work. And one day out of the blue, I get this call from somebody I'd actually done a reading on. And she said, James, you've got to come and see my friend. You know, she's got cancer. And I was like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? And she said, I don't know, but I've just been told you must come over and see her. Yeah. And bless her, you know, this woman had cancer. It had returned. So she'd got cancer in the throat, and it had spread to the collarbone. Okay. And cut a long story short, I did my first healing on her. And I'm so going back to what you said earlier about being scared, I'm having this conversation with spirit going, guys, you better be like doing, you know, showing me what to do properly here, because I can't mess around with this. This is somebody who's actually dying, like literally dying. And I need to be, again, respectful. So I've got full trust in you, but please, like, show me what I need to do. And they just said to me, lie her down. So I lied the woman down, and I played some beautiful music. And everywhere they told me I had to go and touch her, I touched her, you know. And it was beautiful. And she came out of this beautiful, beautiful healing. And she was like, oh, I just felt like I disappeared. And I was like, first one, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. That's really cool. And that day she had to go to the hospital to get some results. And I remember when I was leaving, I turned around and I said, whatever they say, we're just going to ignore it. And we're just going to continue on with this path. You know, I felt very comfortable in saying that. So wow. She went to the hospital. And the hospital basically said what we knew. It was like, it's gone too far. We'll kind of make you comfortable. We'll probably get you about 1 to 2 years, you know, but that's probably the best that we can do. So she went to see another surgeon, because she was throwing everything at this as well, because she obviously got 2 little babies. You know, she was obviously trusting me, but she needed to obviously trust the medical world as well. Yes. So I performed about 3 or 4 of these healings on Lydia. That was her name, on Lydia. When I felt her energy, it was so surreal. I would know when to go around. I would know when she was struggling, and I'd be like, okay, I'm coming around tomorrow, and I'd do another one. And again, just completely trusting in spirit. So Lydia goes to get measured up in the hospital for radiation, so they know where to go to fire when they're doing the chemo and all that. And I always remember I had an iPhone watch on at the time, and I was in a business meeting. And I looked at my watch, and Lydia had messaged me, and they said they can't find any of the cancer cells. All of them had gone. Every one of them had gone. She was absolutely, no cancer was there. But and then people say to me, you know, that was you. And I go, no, it was not me. What it was she trusted completely in spirit. She completely trusted in herself that she had the ability to be the healer. It's not me. All I was doing was being the conduit. You know, I was being the conduit of my energy and spirit's energy with her energy, and that's all we did. But she had the complete and utter faith that she had manifested this, because ultimately she had, you know, so she knew if she had manifested it, she could then unmanifest it and she could heal herself. and she had the complete faith. And to this day, she's still in remission. She still comes and sees me from time to time because she just feels when she feels a little bit down or a bit worried. And I say the same thing every time. It's gone. It's okay. We're good, because it's gone. So that's how the healing started. And it's been like that ever since. And we've been doing that now for, a couple of years now.
Yeah. It's too beautiful, man. Wow.
Yeah. So
I was in there. I don't know how the room looked, but I was in there, probably standing beside you and just watching it happen.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And it's just, and I think it was one of your questions that we talked about earlier about, how do you become a healer? We are our own healers. We really are. We are so powerful. We are so powerful. It's just that belief that you are, it really is. Really magical being, every one of us.
Man, during this conversation itself, I have transcended from I want to believe to I believe. That's
beautiful,
insane.
Man.
I'm not even kidding. Right now when you were speaking, I could feel what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's not an easy thing for me. So one thing I really respect from your conversation is that from what you just said about Lydia, is while she was going for the chemo, the level of confidence a human needs to have to say that whatever it is, don't worry about it, I'll take care of it. That level of confidence. I think if anyone believes anything with that level of confidence, humans can achieve anything. Absolutely.
Absolutely they can. We are so powerful. It's just got to believe. Put your energy into that. Put your energy into the good, and we can change the world literally. And of course, like you mentioned earlier about the current events, what's going on, that's what we need to do with that, because right now, how it's working right now is not going to change anything. Exactly. It's not going to change anything.
Exactly.
Just a boom, boom, boom. You're wrong. I'm right. I'm right. You're wrong.
Exactly. So with things happening in America, things happening in India, I'm not sure if you're aware or not. Everything, it's just me versus you, right? I think it's right versus wrong, but I want to disagree that it's not right versus wrong. There's so many other aspects that come into play, right?
We've got to come with our hands out to each other. We've got to embrace each other. Like, I am you and you are me. This is all an illusion. It's just one big dream. But we're experiencing what we've just said. You say it on the Tantra side, as a dancer life, we're just experiencing this. So let's just get back to experiencing it so everybody can enjoy it. We don't need to go and kill people now for people to wake up. Surely we've come past that as a collective consciousness. One of the big things what got me when the virus hit was, especially in Perth, I don't know if it was like this in India, but people was barging people out of the way to get toilet rolls. I could not believe it.
We use water here, man. We use water.
Yeah. It was, they should be doing that here too, buddy. It was absolutely crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was in the shopping centres and people were absolutely rushing to knock people over so they could get 55 toilet rolls. And I'm like, what are we doing? Surely, surely we have passed this basic level now. Come on. It was like one man for himself, and that's so wrong. We're a collective. We're a union. We are one.
I get it. I come to that conclusion often. There's one question that bothers me though. I want to think the world is an amazing place. It is. It is an amazing place. No doubt about it. But bad exists. Bad people exist. Bad spirits. I do not have experience enough to claim if it exists or not. But bad people, yes, they do exist. And bad, by my definition, is that, in my definition, bad is basically killing others, not being empathetic about them, like hoarding all the toilet papers, not having it for others. Yeah. That's something that's bad. Stealing money, robbery. Yeah. That's bad for me. So this exists.
It does. But remember what we just said earlier. We come down to this plane to experience.
Yes.
So we experience And some people choose to experience what it's like to probably be on the darker side of things rather than the lighter side of things. You know, so we get to experience, you know, what's it like to murder somebody? What's that policeman that's unfortunately, you know, knelt on that poor soul's head? But George Floyd, I think his name is, you know, is going to be one of the most celebrated people in history of what the movement will do and what that soul has come and done for everybody.
There's going to be before and after.
I'm so thankful for him. Absolutely, I'm so thankful because he's going to change people's thinking, and he is doing. You know, he is doing. And now we need to stop and go, okay, how do we all come together? Because we don't want the guys over there, the blacks, as what they like to say over there, you know, against the whites. You know, we've got to come together as a union. We've got to come together as a union because it's never going to work. And remember what Nelson Mandela said. You know, Nelson Mandela was locked up for 30 years and he came out with love, right? And that guy could have come out with some hate if he wanted to. You know, my word. You know, 30 years. But he said, you know, what was it? It's like, hate is taught.
Yeah.
Hate is taught. Love is our natural feeling. And it is. You know, so we have to come back to that. So we do get polarities. We do get the light and the dark, but we sometimes have to see the dark to understand that this is what we have to be. You know, so that's how I view it. And unfortunately, some people choose to go sooner to help us see the light.
Correct. I'm pretty sure what happened there, thanks to sacrifice, I would call it a sacrifice in a way. I think there's a lot of spiritual energy that went into that event.
Yeah.
That is extremely strange, one. And the after effect, it's enormous. And the singular world awakening right now due to the coronavirus, 2020, it's extremely strange. There's another virus discovered in Congo now. What the hell is happening?
Yeah. We're moving in. We're moving into new dimensions. We're moving into new beginnings. You know, we're exhausting this old pattern.
Is this a new evolution?
Really exhausted. It is. It has to be. You know, and 2020 is obviously the year where we're going to experience it. But we're on a path to destruction if we carry on.
Exactly.
You know, we're having China, you know, building, you know, air bases in the middle of the ocean and going around to Taiwan and now on the Indian border. You know, why?
Aware of all that.
You know, we can just all work in peace. You know, we have the virus, but we blame them over there. You know, we have poor George Floyd who has to die for us to see that. You know, my skin bleeds exactly the same color as a Chinese man, an Indian man, or an African American man. Exactly. You know, it's bonkers that we still have to be having these conversations. But unfortunately, we have to have movements like this to jolt us, you know, and we're getting very much jolted this year, that's for sure. So that shows me there's a big movement, a big progression. And again, we sit and we would be the observer to this. You know, I know for me with the virus, it definitely made me slow down a little bit. It definitely made me think, you know, not take things for granted. You know, it really did. And I don't need a lot to be happy, you know. So I just walked and enjoyed nature and even connected more with spirit. And I was fulfilled. That's all I needed. So I don't know what the end of 2020 is going to look like, but definitely I think we're in the middle of it right now. That's for sure.
They say in the Mayan calendar, 2012 was actually 2020. So you never know.
Right, okay, well, let's go with that. Yeah,
you don't know what's going to come next.
I think we can say I think we can say that's probably correct, right?
Yeah. But thinking that way, all right, here's a thought experiment that I want us to do. Since this is the collective consciousness, I think education is going to play a huge role in it. Because you and I, first, we're educated, we've seen the prosperous side of human living. You and I have been privileged enough, I would call it a privilege, to experience the spiritual side, because that is a blessing. It's an absolute blessing to have that. It gives you so much strength. But most people, I would say most, because in my experience, that is the case with most people, especially in Asia, which is the majority of the population in China and India, they do not experience the spiritual benefit or the educational benefits, right? So for them, do you know what Maslow's hierarchy of needs are?
No, but I do know Maslow, but what, tell me.
All right. So it says that humans can only reach the level of self-actualization, which is being self-aware, after getting to these 4 or 5 things. So beginning with your physiological needs, like your food, shelter, water, these things. Then I think what comes is your self-respect. No, that's third. And then a certain few things, all right? But most of Asian population is still stuck in the bottom half, which is their physiological needs.
Yeah.
Right? Do you think there is any way for them, or any way for us as educators, right, to get through to them, to explain it to them that it's okay, you can have this, but you need to believe first? Because if someone is at this level where their physiological needs aren't being met, they're already in a pretty bad state of mind where they're not willing to accept anything else. All they want is some food, some water, some shelter.
Yeah.
How
again,
do
but it starts with us, right? It starts with us showing them. It starts with us giving. It starts with us leading them. It starts with, that's where it begins. Even all this on the bigger picture, we go, how do we even fix this? But it's not one small step.
Correct.
So it's that one small, my business is in Bali, and Bali is a great example of what you're talking about.
Exactly.
But there's such a culture of giving, of helping, of showing, of guiding, it's beautiful. And these guys have no money. These guys have nothing, absolutely nothing. Yes. But they come round, and one village helps that village, and one person takes that person and shows them how to do that. And that's what we have to do for these people, is to be the example, is to show them that this belief is the belief that we need to be walking in, and, show them that when we do believe in that, things happen. Things happen, things change. But if we continue on the mouse wheel of going, I can't get, I won't get, I can't get forward, I'm going to live this life forever. Remember this too. The universe is an all-giving universe. It doesn't distinguish. So it will always keep on giving you what you're always asking for. So it's actually changing the mindset as we walk, and putting that positivity and that energy, and just that will go on to 1, and that will go down to 3, and that will go down to 5. And before you know it, we've spread out across a vast, rather than just thinking this problem's too big. Correct. But we've got to start somewhere.
Yeah. I think, seeing it as not a huge problem is the first step. And most of people who listen to this podcast are from America and India, and a lot of them are educators as well. So listening to this is really important for them. And because of this, I would like to go back to your experience with ayahuasca. And before we dive into that, for the listeners here, ayahuasca is a plant-based medicine that you consume in the form of a tea or however, and it's generally done with a shaman, if I'm not wrong.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not exactly like marijuana or any other plant-based medicine. This is a completely different experience where
absolutely,
somewhat like LSD, you sometimes also experience an ego death. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So would you recommend this to people, or do you think that medicine is supposed to find you, or you should go on?
That's a really good question. So I'll answer both those questions. Mm-hmm. I would personally love to give everybody a cup of ayahuasca. I think it would have the biggest difference in the world. If we're talking about changing the world in a very quick way, for the best part, giving a cup of ayahuasca to show people what's really important and to bring them back to self, the most beautiful healing modality I believe there is.
Yes.
Your second question is exactly right, and that's why we don't all have a cup of tea, as I said, a cup of tea, but the cup of ayahuasca is because the medicine has to call you. The medicine does call you. The medicine grabs hold of you and reaches to you. I knew nothing of ayahuasca. I'd be like, ayahuasca, what are you even talking about? Again, 4 years ago was my first journey in ayahuasca. And somebody said to me,
back then.
Yeah, I remember going home and it was like, I've got to watch this documentary on this something called, I couldn't even spell it. I had no idea even how you pronounced it. And I watched this documentary about this retreat center in Costa Rica, and no word of a lie, 10 minutes after I'd watched this documentary, I was booked I'd booked my tickets, and I was down there a few months later. And that's when I had my first experience, because when somebody said to me how it came about, they said, James, do you know about this medicine? And I'm like, to be honest with you, I have no idea what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And they went, well, you're actually going to the universe. And I'm like, I'm there. Take me there now. I want to know all about this. And literally, when I did my first journey with ayahuasca, the most beautiful experience for me in my first one. You know, it was so beautiful. I was taken to the pyramids, and my head kind of opened up, and I could see hieroglyphics coming in, and you know, I was in nature with the birds singing around me. And then I've obviously gone through, as you said earlier, experiencing the deaths and what you need to heal within ayahuasca. You know, so it goes and travels through your body and goes, okay, we've got a blockage here. We need to investigate that's why that's happened here. And that happened because 20 years ago, this started to happen, and you've carried it along with you. And it's a beautiful tool of helping you release that. Where I think people go wrong with ayahuasca is it's the first step. It shows you what you need to go and do, and then you have to go and do the hard work. You know, you have to go and then and you go and heal what it's actually showed you, because ayahuasca will show you. You know, and sometimes I've definitely heard that it's definitely healed, but you've still got to walk it. You've still got to do it. You've still got to be in it, because we're still in this existence, right? We're not in ayahuasca. We're not in that consciousness all the time. Correct. I wish we could be, but we're not.
Yeah, I wish that too. And I think ayahuasca is something ayahuasca is like the one entering the directions on the Google Maps. You have to find your own direction. You are the Google Maps. Ayahuasca just enters the destination for you. This is where you have to go, kind of. You got to figure out the direction. It's a new way. You got to figure out the entire algorithm, the directions, everything. It's on you.
That's right. You know, and I always explain with ayahuasca when people ask me in the beginning, it's like having a brick wall, and you're surrounded in your garden, and you've got a trampoline, and you can just peer over the wall, and you can see all this vastness. And that's the universe, because it's so big. It's so big, and we limit ourselves to, like you say, to a concrete building that has no soul, no character. It's just dead. It's just completely dead. Ayahuasca just comes and makes us understand that, you know, the trees, the plants, the birds, the sun, the breeze, they're all our friends, you know? They're all part of us.
Yeah. Are you going to write a book about this? It's similar to The Alchemist. You should be writing a book, man. It would be interesting to know all the journeys that you've had.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be talked about more. This needs to be spoken about more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's just not spoken enough. People pay too much respect to science. I'm not saying it's wrong or bad, but it's over.
I think it's got its place. I really do, and I think I think we wouldn't have science if it didn't have its place, right? Because the universe is also give us that. But I think we've lost again that ability. It's like that masculine and feminine. You know, it has to be a balance. You know, we have to have a bit of science, a little bit of practical, and a little bit of what's going on, because that's what's bringing us all together ultimately. You know.
Correct. Yes. According to psychology as well, any human needs a couple of things, right? So just lightly touching back on the previous topic. So most people kill because humans are in need of validation, you know, or respect. They need certainty and they need uncertainty as well. Tony Robbins said this, right? Human needs uncertainty and certainty as well. And they need some kind of validation and to be known. They have a need to feel significant.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
Do you think spirituality has a way to make a person feel significant in himself? And if yes, how?
Of course, and you know, it's the game. Come back to being simple. You know, when I say yes, it's you find your peace. That's all we're searching for. Is a peace. That's it. There's nothing else. It's peaceful. Stop. You know, it's peaceful. Stop. You know, I know when I'm in peace, I'm flowing beautifully. Life is great. You know, there's not ever an hassle. There's not ever a problem. When I'm pulled out of alignment, everything's chaotic. then the ego likes to come on the shoulder and take me down a different track. Sadness wants to come over here and take me off there and make me feel in a depressive kind of mode and lower my energies, But when I've got that peace and I'm just in tune and life is just flowing as it should be flowing, there's nothing more magical.
Yeah.
Because
I've been touching on that again and again for one single reason, being that that's what people struggle with the most. They want to be significant. They want to be spiritual, but according to them, spirituality means sitting down, praying, or sitting down and doing a forced form of meditation.
And look, listen, I can't do meditation to save my life. If I'm doing meditation, I'm falling asleep. It's game over. It's not going to happen, So again, spiritual nonsense. I'm sure the yogis in India, in Nepal, in all these beautiful places, beautiful, but that's their practice. I unfortunately live in a city, and my practice is to go for a walk. Or I would say my biggest meditation is actually going to the gym. Is actually in the gym, because
I want to talk more on that. Yeah,
I'm alone. I'm doing something good for my body. I enjoy that. I enjoy looking after my body temple, and I'm at peace because my phone's in my bag. No one can get me. And it's just me and that dumbbell, and I'm going to make friends with that dumbbell. And after an hour, I've finished and I'm in a good place and I've never had a bad workout. So I walk out of there and I've got a smile on my face. And again, I'm ready again. I'm back in alignment again. So it's keeping it as simple as possible. Spirituality doesn't mean that you can't go and drive a Porsche. Spirituality doesn't mean that you can't go and have a big house. It doesn't, but it's understanding that you can enjoy them and still be at peace and still be kind and still be love, because we have to be those things to ourselves first, remember, then out to others, and enjoy all the blessings you get, all of them.
Exactly. This message, listeners, this message from James is the most important for anyone who's trying to begin on a path of spirituality, who's trying to begin finding meaning in their lives. It's super important. You do not need to visit the Himalayas or go to a special sanctuary to feel extreme spirituality. You can do it right from your homes, just walking, be aware, just align with yourself. Right. That's
and it. It begins sat in your chair. It just begins here. And it just begins by that simple comment of, I'm going to be nice to me. I'm going to fulfill me. I'm going to then spread that out to others. And I'm going to actually walk that path, not just talk about it, but walk it. That's spirituality.
Yes.
That is spirituality. Done. Yes. Period. Nothing else. You don't have to go and see a guru, dressed up in robes and everything else. And that's not to diss that guru. He's the most magical man, but he's doing his journey.
Exactly.
That's his journey. And if he can hopefully show you a way, well, then beautiful. But not many people can go and see him because we don't have access to him, So we have to begin somewhere. So somewhere is ourselves, sat down where we are right now and go, you know what, I need to change some things up here. I'm going to start with myself. And I'm just going to start by going, I'm going to be kinder to myself. I'm going to love myself, And a perfect example, I give this example a lot. I've got two boys. I've got an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old. And we can be driving in the car. And automatically I'll turn to them and I'll go, guys. And they'll go, because they know they call me a bit quirky. I'll go, guys, guess what? And they'll go, what, Dad? And I'll go, I love myself. I really do. I really love myself. And both of them at the same time in unison will go, Dad, you can't say that. You just can't say that. And I'm like, well, you guys are not going to tell me, are you? So I'm going to tell myself, And that's the truth. It's not done in an ego way. It's not done in a way of, look at me, I'm so beautiful, Yes, I am. But I have to say that to myself because I've got to love the good stuff. I've got to love the flaws. I've got to really cherish who I am in order for me then so I can keep growing. I don't want to pretend to be somebody else. I just want to live my path.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think you how old are your kids right now?
18 and 14.
Interesting. They must have had an interesting childhood with this journey along with you as well. Are they spiritual as well?
Very in tune. I don't think they know what it actually means yet, but they've always seen me come from love. So they live with their mom, but every day we're in constant communication. And every time, even the 18-year-old, when he's out with his friends, always says to me at the end of the conversation, "I love you, Dad." And that's just the most important thing, that we just keep on, doing that, So always, I love you, Dad. I love you, son. I love you, Dad. I love you, son. Just beautiful. But they're their own souls, walking their own journey, and I leave them to it.
Wow. That's a difficult thing to say as a father.
Yeah, because we definitely a different topic for another day, but we become so attached. We become so attached that we have to let them go. They've come down to experience their own journey. Correct. Their own life. And when the children, we're there to show them how to hold a knife and fork and, to say no, please, and thank you. And, have the basic, manners to begin. Yes. And then when they become of 18 and Dylan's now working and he's doing his thing, it's like, okay, son, there's your canoe. Enjoy your journey. Dad's always around if you need me. I'm very much like that, because he has to experience it. I don't want to be that controlling. It's not my work. It's not my place to be controlling, at his age.
That's a wonderful lesson, man. That's a wonderful lesson. I think Dylan's going to make a good man for himself as well. That's right.
I think so. Absolutely. Beautiful boy.
Yes. And I think we are coming to the end of the podcast, and I'd like to end it with asking a couple of quick fire questions. They won't be too related to it, but sometimes really interesting answers come out. Right. So I do not want you to think too much about these questions. That's the trick. All right.
I won't.
Great. So question number 1, given the choice of anyone in the world, whom would you want as a dinner guest?
He's just died. So does that count or not?
Sure. Living or dead?
I would have Ramdas.
Ramdas? Who's that?
Yeah.
Who's Ramdas?
Yeah, he's a Ramdas. Ramdas is a beautiful spiritual guru who came from Harvard University, went to India, met his guru, which was Neem Karoli Baba, which is my guru.
No way. No, this is insane. You know why?
So in the back of my phone right now. Oh, I'll show you. Who's this?
I know Ramdas. Oh my God! What?
So
that's some next level connection, man. Oh
yeah! Wow!
Oh my God!
So you made me go goosepimply now, but yeah. So Neem Karoli Baba is my guru, who again with Hanuman and Ramdas are the ones that guide me.
I was in his ashram a couple of years back, man.
Oh no way! That's amazing, man. That's why I wanted to come to India, right? So I was going there.
I was in his ashram for 4-5 days in the temple.
Oh my word!
It's I cannot explain the vibe.
Oh, just amazing.
Yeah. I think the entire podcast was with this.
So I'm going back to the beginning now of people that doubt spirit. Okay, so I'm going back now to people that can actually doubt spirit, that our gurus are exactly the same, and we had no really idea until 2 seconds ago, until I mentioned that for the answer to that question. There you go. Spirit.
There you go. I think this is it for the podcast. This is it. Everything that
we'll call it quits. Brother, it was an absolute pleasure and an honor. Yeah. And I love making this connection with you. It was absolutely fantastic. So blessed.
Likewise, man. This was insane. I do not even feel like asking the rest of the 4 questions. This is too good. I do not want to bring it down from here. This is the best high I've had in a while, man. Wonderful.
Oh, fantastic, brother. Blessings to you always, my friend, and I'll catch you later.
You too,
all right.
Great podcast.
See you, man.
Thank you, James.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you so much.
See you, buddy. Bye-bye.